Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Being Rare podcast. It is officially Thursday and Monday was a holiday, so we are uploading this video on Thursday instead of Wednesday. Monday was Labor Day. If you cannot tell, joining me in Being Rare Studios again is the honey, the hub, Kareem. Hey, so what does it feel like to be back in the Being Rare Studios? I'm just taking my headphone thing out.
I don't know. It's caught me off guard.
It feels good.
Yeah, it's good. Like, don't do it regularly, so it's good.
Good to come hang out.
I'm scared now. I don't know what
this
you're
is
gonna
bothering
ask.
me. I'm gonna take this out.
I don't know what else you're gonna ask, though.
No, don't be scared. Don't be scared.
Just don't ask me a hard question.
No, I won't ask a hard question. So we are talking about newborn screening. September is Newborn Screening Awareness Month. And, one of the things that I wanted to talk about is just really our experience with newborn screening. I posted last week's episode and we were just talking about, or I was just talking about what newborn screening is and the fact that we did not get newborn screening with Elijah. And so I guess let's just start there. Like, what are your thoughts about having had 4 other children prior to Elijah, who all received newborn screening, but then to not get it for him?
Well, not only did we not get it, I think we asked for it and was denied.
Right, we
if I'm not
did.
mistaken. I can't remember. That's
Yeah. We had like a whole conversation about just really knowing what newborn screening is and confirming his diagnosis. Right. I think the only thing they did was I remember the nurse putting the little eye drops in, but then I remember the doctor coming in saying stuff like, his arm was so skinny, and they were just talking about him being so frail and do you really want to put him through this and all that type of stuff. And
there's a lot of deniability, I guess is how that goes.
Yeah. Maybe. To some degree. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah. And to some degree it was a lot of bullying. You know what I mean? Like I felt like
excuses.
Excuses, yeah.
Like the underlying I'm not about to waste not this particular, but I'm not about to waste a needle on this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, because the neonatologist, I remember said something along the lines of, it not being worth the medical resources. And I even remember somebody coming in, and it was one of the physicians, and they came in and started talking about, if we document medical necessity, your insurance won't pay for it. And I mean, that's bullying. You know what I mean? Especially for the state, just mentally, emotionally, the state that we were in. Like, why would that even become the topic of conversation?
Well, I think that was part of that was the reasoning for wanting to do something, because where we were with our confidence, our faith, and quite frankly, being what I call professional parents, we were able to, I think, better navigate that scenario than say a single mom or
a new parent,
first time parents. I'm thinking of newlyweds. We're having our first baby, and this is where we find ourselves. Like how would they navigate? Would they know I'm entitled to newborn screening? Would they know the importance of newborn screening? Things of that nature. Those are the things that I think about when I reflect on
not having gotten it.
That particular situation.
Yeah. I know too, I mentioned last week, I really just kind of did like a brief overview, but one of the things that I mentioned was the fact that, we've had people say, well, if Elijah's diagnosis is not on the RUSP, meaning it's not a test that's determined by newborn screening, then what was the big deal? Well, first and foremost, his diagnosis we received in utero. So, as much as I understand that argument in terms of like, why is it a big deal?
Sounds valid.
Right. A lot of, or some of Elijah's comorbidities, we learned about probably between Elijah being 2 and maybe 3 years old. Mm-hmm. And some of those could have been determined if he had had a hearing screen. A newborn screening, like a hearing screen. That's a part of newborn screening. And Elijah was probably 2 years old before we knew that he had hearing loss. And our ENT thankfully was like, his ear canals are super small, let's let him grow a little bit. But prior to being connected with ENT, they were talking about the hearing aids and doing the molds and cochlear implants and all this stuff. And those were all things that we didn't have any information about until Elijah was almost 3 years old. Thankfully, as he got older, our ENT was correct. He did eventually pass his hearing test, but he failed like 8 of them over the course of a couple years. And, it was just really crappy to learn that we could have had that at newborn screening. But yeah.
Which I think we were always open to, valid medical advice.
Valid medical advice, yeah.
For example, like you talked about his ear canals
being super tiny,
really tiny. Yeah. So it's probably going to be difficult to get a accurate test on what he can and cannot hear. Versus it's not it's not sensible from a financial standpoint to conduct tests for this kid that has a terminal illness.
Right. Well, and I think for me, it would have been great to know more about his hearing loss. It would have been great to know more about that sooner, right? Like that's the whole premise behind newborn screening, is to identify conditions sooner rather than later, so you can begin treatment options sooner rather than later. And so even though Edwards syndrome is not a test on the newborn screening, on the panel of conditions, his liver issues, kidney issues, heart issues, a lot of those things potentially could have been identified a lot sooner had we had newborn screening. And even past all of that, let me just go ahead and say, even past all of that, we should have gotten it because every baby is supposed to get it, period. Like that's it right there. We should have gotten it because every baby is supposed to get it, regardless of receiving his rare disease diagnosis in utero. We should have got newborn screening because we were supposed to. Now, there.
And that's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line, because Sarita said so.
You can drop the mic on that.
If I had a mic to drop, I would. Yeah. Anyways, that's my soapbox about it all. Another thing that I mentioned last week that we have had folks we have had said to us was, Edwards syndrome is not on the panel. And then it was something else that we've had said to us in terms of if every baby is supposed to get it, why didn't Elijah get it? Or something to the tune of, because if it's mandated, they can't not give it to you. And yeah, we do just that. Yeah. Like we laugh like, yeah, well, it may be mandated, but
that's not true.
We didn't get it. We didn't get it. So there's that. We didn't. So let's talk a little bit. because we've been asked this question as well. And I think for the most part, we're very transparent and an open book. We've been asked, do we think our race played a part? What are your thoughts?
Initially, no. That didn't even cross my mind initially.
Mine either.
Like, yeah, just because it's not something that I think about. Like when I interact with somebody, I don't go, "Oh, this is the Asian guy," or "This is the white woman," or "This is a whatever." Right? I see people as people, and I guess because I think like that, I subconsciously think everybody else thinks like
right. That. And you see people as people without disregarding the fact that they are whoever they are. Exactly. Right? You know what I mean? And so basically their race and all that doesn't play a part in how you treat them.
Yeah. So initially, no, that didn't even cross my mind.
It didn't cross my mind either. And even after being asked if we thought, and we were being interviewed, and that was kind of like an off the record kind of question. But it was you know, and I gotta say that it was the same for me. I can't say that I thought about my race playing a part in not getting newborn screening, or even, you know, just a lot of the services and the care that we received. I can't say that I thought about they're doing this because I'm Black.
Yeah,
you know,
and then too, I'm not that guy that
automatically
everything that doesn't go my way, or the way I want it to, I automatically pull out the race card.
Right, like it's a race thing. Right. And so I think, now I will say, as much as I did not think, you know, they're behaving like this because I'm Black, I think for me, my initial thought was they're behaving like this because of the diagnosis, right? Like I never thought about race being a factor of it. I thought it was just because of the high mortality rate with the diagnosis. They were just kind of dismissing us. That's honestly what I thought. Mm-hmm. Looking back on it, you know, maybe race did play a part, because I do recall feeling like they think I'm stupid. Like I feel like the way that even during the OB phase, to some degree, I felt like they were speaking to me as the patient, as the, you know, the mom carrying the child. I felt like they were speaking to me as if I wasn't fully understanding or comprehending what they were telling me about this diagnosis and what we can expect, when in reality, I fully understood what they were telling me. I was processing, and because my responses weren't what they wanted it to be, I felt like they were dismissive and treated me like I was ignorant. And even in that, I never thought about they're doing it because I'm Black. Right. I just felt like they were treating me like I was ignorant. Yeah. And I'm not.
Right. Well,
for anyone who needs to know.
I think, well, even still, I think maybe it played a part, but I don't know. I think it was more the diagnosis maybe, but, and I think now that seed has been planted, and
I question,
and you look at it differently out of different eyes. I think now.
Yeah.
Because the seed
has been planted. Yeah. I never thought about it, but whether they did or didn't, it was enough going on. And even if they did not treat us the way that they did because of race, they treated us the way that they did, and that was enough.
Yeah, I'm saying at the end of the day, it didn't matter whether it was racially motivated.
I mean, it's not like we were. It's not like the red carpet was rolled out. So
it happened. I think the most disappointing to me was, regardless of why we received the treatment, like you said, we received the treatment,
right?
And we received the treatment for a diagnosis, and we were not treated based on there's a living, breathing individual in the scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's what my understanding of healthcare is, that you treat people that are ill, whatever the illness is,
mm-hmm.
and the physician is there for the purpose of best trying to achieve the best possible scenario up to death, right? But we were being ushered into death.
Right. As our only narrative, right. Our only option, and you're stupid for wanting something other than that. If it's not clear, I have a whole attitude about all of it. Like, I have like a whole attitude about the entire process and how it went down. And
I was talking to somebody the other day, and was saying that we were told, oh yeah, well, he's gonna die eventually. He's gonna, so much so to it got to a point to where I had the thought, okay, well, all of us are gonna die,
right?
Like, and nobody can say I'm gonna die tomorrow or I'm gonna die on February 1st, 2025 or whatever, right?
Right.
So whether he's gonna die or not is irrelevant.
That has been my position the entire time. Like all of us will die one day. Every day you live, you are one day closer to death.
Right.
And I think it was just, and I know we're supposed to be talking about newborn screening, but all of this is that, right? Like this is, all of that is this entire experience. But I think that was my biggest frustration, just continually being told that he was not going to live. Not, let's look at this, let's look at these symptoms, let's look at how he's doing, let's, check his oxygen, let's do newborn screening. Like none of that. It was always, let's not do anything because he's going to die.
Yeah, like literally.
Right.
That was disappointing to me to see the doctors congregate and look at their watches and
like they were waiting. Baby,
and look at.
And for me, with 22, 23 years of experience in healthcare, for me, I was disappointed because I had such a high regard for the healthcare space. And I still have a huge respect for the healthcare space. Don't get me wrong. But in that moment, I was very disappointed and let down, with the, with the information that I had about healthcare. I was disappointed that this is where we were. And this was the only solutions that we were being given, being told no to newborn screening, being told to confirming his test or confirming his diagnosis because he looked consistent with what we had been told prenatally. I mean, that's looked consistent doesn't mean it, it's just, y'all, let me just tell you. Yeah.
To be in that moment and to have a medical professional literally tell you, that's not really,
you wasting your time,
right?
Yeah,
like that's really not even part of this plan right now.
Yeah, and I have to say, we have been asked before, what would you do differently? And one thing that I always say is I would advocate then how I advocate now. In the moment, I was so full of emotion and, you don't know what you're dealing with. You have doctors, telling you one thing and you're trying to be hopeful for something else. And they're telling you you're being ridiculous for being hopeful. If I were to do anything differently, I would be the advocate that I am now. Like now, I'm not taking it. And I'm trying to be as gentle I'm over it. We are not playing these games anymore when it comes to Elijah's care. And so, yeah. Anyways, that's my soapbox.
Right. I say for me, I probably would have been more conscious of documenting names.
Yeah, that's good.
And
keeping track of who you're talking to and
who is who and who said what.
And who said what, yeah.
That would have been, I think, something I would have been more conscious of. But when you're in the moment, though, and you're in a place that you've not been before, and it's a place you've not been before, but it's a familiar place. Does that make sense at all? Because we've been through the process of delivering baby multiple times, but this was a new experience.
This was a new,
and all of them were new, but they were all the same.
And he was completely different in the sense of how the healthcare system responded, not how we responded. Oh, that's good right there. Yeah, it was how they chose to respond to him, not how we chose to respond to the new baby.
Because our behavior was the same.
It was consistent, like with every other child. It was consistent.
But
even trying to nurse him. I mean, he was born with bilateral cleft lip and palate, and I was still trying to nurse like I did with my other four.
Again, unfamiliar place.
Yeah. We'll probably talk about newborn screening for the entire month of September. That's kind of what I said last week. Just kind of that's the introduction video. I waited until September 1st since September is Newborn Screening Awareness Month. And this, of course, is I guess this is the first full week of September. So we'll probably have maybe 3 more Wednesdays or Thursdays in this case. Either way, we'll probably talk about newborn screening, and it'll probably roll over into other stuff associated with it all. I mean, that's a part of having dialogue and conversation. It just goes left sometimes, and then it comes back center. I don't know. Anything else about newborn screening?
Not that I can think of at the moment.
Me either.
Give me time to do a Google search.
Yeah. You can go to the iwifoundation.org / newborn screening. All right, guys. We are not going to prolong the conversation. I think that's all we have for now. Tell us about your newborn screening experience. Did you receive your rare diagnosis by way of newborn screening? Or is your rare diagnosis not on the newborn screening panel? Is it not one of the conditions currently being tested through newborn screening? We'd love to know your newborn screening stories and how newborn screening impacts and influences your rare disease journey. If you haven't already done so, go ahead and follow and subscribe to the Being Rare podcast. We are on every platform. We should be on every platform. Traditional audio podcast platforms like Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music. Anywhere you stream, you should be able to find us. We also have our video version of the podcast on our YouTube channel. I think it's actually under the Iwi Foundation, or it's youtube.com / at the Iwi Foundation / podcast. And so you can find us there. That was a whole mouthful, but that was long, yeah.
Someone was taking notes.
Oh, goodness. Just go to the iwifoundation.org and you can see how to find video versions of the podcast. Follow us on social media. You can follow Being Rare Podcast. You can also follow The Real Edwards. We are on all social media platforms as well. Yeah. Any last words?
Until next time, I'll be back. Yeah, I guess. I'm gonna be welcome.
Why would you not be welcome? Wait a minute. Oh, goodness. All right, guys. Listen. Until the next episode, thank you for tuning in with us this evening, this morning. Whenever you are watching this episode, go ahead and hit follow and subscribe. Follow us on social media. Until the next episode, be rare. Holla at ya. Bye, guys.